Hello, can everybody hear me? If you can, we've had some serious technical issues today with this bloody thing again. It says I'm live. Right, we're on.
Oops.
Right, we'll start again. Hello everybody and welcome to another video. My God, it's so hard to go live on this thing. It keeps changing the angle and everything of the camera. I still don't think that's right. It's still not taking up the whole screen of my phone.
Well, I'm having problems.
No, we're not there yet.
So sorry everybody, I am having problems with my phone now, logging into the live. So I'm going to reboot my phone. And morning everyone. We could see earlier on that there were quite a few chats, and yeah, I was going to take the mick out of Tony and call him Techno Tone, but it's Techno Sarah now. I think Sarah was in the wrong live. Oh no, Sarah, I can see some messages coming up on Tony's screen. Just so you know, I log in from my phone, and for some reason it's almost like I've got my own live going on there, which I don't really want to do.
Just come out of everything and go back in. Literally come out of all that sort of stuff. Yeah, which is what I did with this. So it was all over the place. I don't know what's going on. It's
so, Tony had a really nice treat for you this morning. We were actually going to start from Lidl,
but it all went pear-shaped in Lidl.
Went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a lovely day today. Live drive to Deal on the Kent coast. That looks about right, doesn't it? Let me click on that.
You get an advert, that's all right. Just wait for the advert to finish. Now what happens is I've got my phone on the dashboard and Sarah just reads the messages from her own phone, and then we turn the phone off that's on the dashboard off. The display on the dashboard goes off to cut down the distractions for me driving, and it's probably better legally as well if we do that. So if in case you're wondering how we do this.
And I'll do my best to read out the messages that have come in so far.
Right,
thanks everyone for your patience. I know it's really late, and also we were going to be late anyway, not because of me, because Tony was faffing around buttering currant buns and making coffee and saying, don't worry, everything's all sorted out.
It was all sorted, and then we waited too long and the screen went blank, and then it came back on and it was all different. All the settings had changed. Everything that I'd put in had changed.
And then he got in a strop with a bloke in a grey van.
Yeah, I've had an argument already with a van behind me. That will come on to the normal channel, that idiot. But yeah.
And we got a message from our daughter a little while ago. Sorry, if you're watching, sorry I couldn't click on and look at it. We had a little family update, but we'll have a little chat in a little while. Anyway, so
we're off.
Joining us in the back seat, delightful Deal. Get that? Deal.
Yeah, well done. Don't give up your day job.
We've got 62 people joining the three of us in the car today. Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the messages, so I'll be chatting for a little while. So we got Susie Forrester saying, yay, we're off to Deal. Alan Howard said, looking forward to this, Tony and Sarah, love your channel, best on YouTube. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Willie Russell said, deal with what, may I ask? Transport Lover One said hi. Willie Russell said good morning to you all. Michelle Simpson, hi Tony and Sarah, and hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
And Alan Howard said, hi Michelle Simpson. What's that smell? It smells like perfume.
It's the
Screen wash.
screen.
Okay.
Smells
Alan,
like perfume. We just picked up some tart.
Hi, Michelle said hi Tony and Sarah, and hi everyone. Alan Howard said hi to Michelle. Sue Coulson said morning all, was just wondering which way you're going.
We're gonna go a little bit more of an interesting way, because the way that it was going to give us was the way that we always go, straight up to the M25, do the split and go down towards Folkestone and then veer off to the M2. But we're going to mix it up a little bit, so it's a little bit more interesting for you. And we're going to go through Croydon, through Bromley and up to the M2 or the A2 there, and then up to the M2. So a little bit of a different route than what it's actually telling us to do. It should take a couple of hours from now, so yeah, it's a lot of driving.
Michelle, your opinion on flashing drivers to go, because a taxi driver flashed an Audi to go and the Audi pulled out in front of me, forcing me to brake to a complete stop.
Yeah, it's very dangerous to flash someone. Everyone's got to be on board with it, you know. And just because the taxi's flashed, it doesn't mean everyone else has got to give way. Flashing doesn't mean anything like give way in the highway code neither. So yeah, it's a dangerous thing to flash people sometimes. It's, you know, especially when someone else hasn't noticed it coming from the other way, or the person you're letting out hasn't noticed that there's other people that hasn't seen the flash. So yeah, the Audi would have been at fault, and well, the taxi would have probably just pissed off anyway, but yeah, the Audi would have been at fault.
You don't get a strike for swearing, do you?
No,
okay.
That's not swearing. Do you listen to my channel?
No. Michelle Simpson said hi to Alan, and then she said, I wonder if we will have a gacha like last time. We'll see.
Yeah.
Court in Peterborough said hi, and Supercars of the Isle of Man said hi. Michelle Simpson said the benefits of working at night is so I can enjoy the live drives in the day. Alan Howard said, if you're using the Chris Rea Road M25, watch out for roadworks.
Yeah, we should miss it all going this way.
But we just went by some roadworks there.
We did indeed.
With people actually working in the road and it not just being coned off.
We've got a different system as well today. We've got a different cradle for the phone. It's on a magnet right in the middle of the car, so hopefully it's not going to bounce around as much as the last one, which was on a big arm that was stretched out from the dashboard, like, you know. So hopefully you're not going to be bouncing around too much. Obviously, again, we're still relying on the signal for a majority of the picture, though.
Where are we? Michelle said there's roadworks in my area. Well, I say roadworks, but it's really they've closed the road to fix the pavement. And then she's just asking, where's everyone from? Michelle says she's in Wolverhampton. Raymond said, ooh, someone got up late, methinks. And then there's a message from me saying, be with you soon. Sue Coulson said, sitting waiting in Amina Beach, just north of Sydney, New South Wales. Lovely. Alan Howard said, I'm in County Durham, Hartlepool, Michelle. And said, thanks for letting us know, Sarah. And then I asked, can anyone hear Tony yet? I think that's when we were in Lidl. And Michelle said no. Alan said not yet. And Michelle asked, what time is it there, Sue? And Sue Coulson said, Amina Beach is next to Wayway, where Spike Milligan's mum lived. I remember one Spike Milligan poem. There are holes in the sky where the rain gets in. They're ever so small, that's why the rain is thin. And I think wasn't he the comedian who was going to have on his tombstone in really small letters,
Yeah.
I told you I was ill,
Yeah.
or I told you I was sick?
Oh, where we're going today, by the way, Deal, there is a famous actor that's from Deal, or has lived in Deal. You know, the one out of Carry On film?
Charles Hawtrey.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's been, I didn't know that. Let me know in the comment section of the last video that I did.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, quite cool.
Yeah. I wonder if there must be a blue plaque somewhere. We'll have to see if we can find that.
Oh, and this road, by the way, is renowned for people cutting in.
What's this road called?
With a yellow box junction on it.
Is this 5 ways?
And then they do that, and then you end up in the yellow box junction. And I've got a police van behind me as well, but I'm out of the yellow box junction anyway. Yeah, this is coming up to 5 ways corner, where everyone gets in the wrong lane here on purpose, because the right hand lane goes quicker than this lane, and they all want to turn left up here to go into Croydon. It happens all the time, and it's the same people that do it every single day.
The Essex Dashcam said there's a third stream which is live and is portrait. I think that was part of all the problems we were having this morning.
Yeah.
And Michelle said, cool, Sue. And Sue also said it was 7:18 evening on Friday where she is. And Michelle said it was 10:19 then, so about 15 minutes behind on the messages at the moment. Alan said, watch out for the idiots, Tony, they'll be there somewhere.
Yeah.
And Michelle Simpson said, how many Audi idiots can we spot today? Matt said, that's better. Aid said, sorted. Craig T. Stratton said, hello. And then the Essex Dashcam said, there we go, yay, sorted. And Jilly Jill said, sorted, yay. Aid said, better. Sue Coulson said, hello. And Carl Elliston said, you're live, young man. And Michelle said, yeah, you're on. Owen Cope said, are we there yet?
When you say young man, you got to say it like Harry Enfield does with
young
the 2
man.
Oh, young man.
Owen Cope said, are we there yet? And then someone has, it looks like Sammy Lee Rose. It's unusual type font, saying looking much better now. Matt Wilkinson said looks fine now. Oh, all my messages have jumped around. Looks fine now. And Matt Wilkins said, I think Sarah was in the wrong live. I think you were right. And Jilly Jill said, oh no, Sarah. Oh no, Sarah. Malcolm Sword said, that's better. Screen is the right way.
Cool.
And I've just got a nice big advert for Candy Crush Saga, which has got in the way of my messages that I'm trying to read.
So this is another little hot spot down here where there's 2 lanes. Only one lane goes properly right into Croydon. The other lane goes down another lane, down another road. And a lot of people come flying down the inside here to cut across. But I've got a police van behind me, so that should stop it. So we're not going to see it, because normally we see it every day down there if you come into Croydon this way. But the police van behind me is stopping that happening.
Chaos Games said, quick catch of this one while on my break. Catch you at the 4 p.m. one. Cool. Crumb 3D TV said, you're all good now. Debbie Tanner is sending a wave. Craig T. Stratton said, that's why I go to Audi. Crumb TV said, we saw the car park roof. And Auntie Trev said, you're all okay now. Ian Dolby said, turn it off and turn it on again.
It was sort of like that. We went completely out and back in.
Alan Howard said, what happened last live drive? Did you lose phone signal?
Yeah, and bearing in mind where we were and where we lost signal was inside the M25, where you would think it would be strong signal. We lost it around the sort of Coulsdon area, and there was just nothing, no signal at all. The phone said that I had signal, but YouTube couldn't pick it up, or I don't know what was going on, but it wasn't working. So we had to come off because you were just looking at a black screen. You couldn't hear me. And yeah, we let the police car break the speed limit. Believe it or not, it's only a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit on this flyover. How ridiculous.
And if anyone doesn't know the area that we're in now, we're just going over, this is the Croydon flyover, is that right, Tone?
Yep.
So we're just heading straight towards central Croydon now. In front of us, coming up, it's kind of, if anyone vaguely knows it, there's the Fairfield Halls Theatre, music venue, Croydon Police Station, and this is more East Croydon. You've got two sides of Croydon, West Croydon and East Croydon, and this is the east side. There are courts around here. I think it's Croydon Crown Court, maybe. Croydon Minster Church. It's been massively built up over the last few years. You can see the tower blocks in Croydon from central London. But anyway, geography lesson done and dusted. Where are we? Matt Wilkinson said, "Morning, Tony and Sarah, at least it's sorted." And
indeed.
Sev said, "Great, it's fixed." Debbie Tanner said, "You just missed the police van." And Alan Howard said, "Should have pasted the van driver laugh out loud." And Samily Rose, and again, sorry if I've said that wrong, said, "Was so funny to hear you effing and blinding at the phone, Tony, with every word."
Oops.
Raymond said, "You left the back door open and you're out of milk." Elizabeth Bicknell said, "Well, hello at last." Monkey in the Works said, "It's a bit of a squeeze. Good to see everyone." I think that's when we mentioned that we had 60 odd people in the back with us. We now got 101. So thanks for joining in.
So if they heard me swearing at the phone, that was in Lidl, wasn't it?
Yeah, and a bit on the way down through Beddington, and a bit
and
everywhere
yeah.
else. We're on two places on the screen. Maybe.
Was it changed back around again? Don't trust this one little bit.
Matt Wilkinson just said, "We're back," and Craig said, "They are back." I think we're back on. Tony's little commentary
my little outburst again. Bloody phone. How can we be minus 131 minutes? What's that all about?
I don't know. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, we're going to be struggling because I've unplugged the phone because it's said that it was overheating. A big message come up saying it's overheating.
So Willie Russell has just said, "Picture with no sound." So I've got to put it out there. Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear us? Can we have a sound check, please? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, lots and lots of people, thank you, saying yes. However, that's interesting. So Alan Howard said, "Nothing happening, Sarah."
He might have to refresh his browser or whatever he's watching it on.
Oh,
because we're having a bit of a mare today, technically.
we are. So anyway, the lovely thing is, lots and lots of people are replying to your sound check. So I'm going to read out the names because I can't quite keep up with the yeses. But Willie Russell, Neil, Micah 1957, Matt Wilkinson, Craig T. Stratton, Sasha Burton, Alan Howard. I hope you can hear now, Alan. MK Joe 94, Monkey in the Works, Grumpy Tuck, Matt Wilkinson, Storm Gray, Debbie Tanner, Supercars of the Isle of Man, Jilly Jill, Simon Minchner, Paul King, Owen Coate, Neil Blow, Chris Morris, Sue Causton, Sasha Burton said, what, no yodeling? Jilly Jill said, a second behind. And Matt Wilkinson, check 1, check 2. Simon Mitchner said, but Sarah, there's an annoying background noise. Try opening the driver's door and pushing hard.
Who was that?
Simon Mitchner.
Oh, we've had a little bit of a crash here.
Oh, someone's had a bad morning. Someone's had a worse morning than you, Tony.
Yeah.
How about that?
Someone was actually bibbing the person because they weren't going round them. But look what it's done.
Matt Wilkinson said, always a phone signal, laugh out loud. Aid said, anyway, I'm starving. Over if you see a breakfast van. 07 said hello, London Dashcam.
Hello.
John Armstrong said yes. Michelle Simpson said yes, I can hear you. Alan Howard said, yay, you're back. Fan Andrews, Chris and Dion said, great day for a drive, problem solved, we've been following you for a couple of years and have learnt loads of stuff, many thanks. And Richard Smith said, yes, I can hear you. And I think we should put it out there that by the way things are going today, don't know how long this live drive's going to last. And if you did, yeah.
Yeah, and you can probably hear the aircon on now. As the it said that it was overheating, I put the aircon on to make it a little bit colder in here because the dash actually is quite warm. But I've got a mic plugged into the phone as well, and it's all plugged in, so which is probably overheating it, I think. But now it takes a lot of power to run the phone while driving live and through YouTube, so I don't know whether we're going to have enough power now to actually get to the other end, but I guess I can put it on, plug it back in en route, and we're now going into traffic.
So Alan Howard said, I can hear and see you good. Richard Smith said, yes, can hear you. Neil Blow said, watching you from Lincoln. Jilly Jill said, break it a bit, Tony. So I think, where are we now? Is this
sort of Shirley way, isn't it?
Shirley, you can't be serious. Beautiful day though. Easter holidays, I guess everyone's out and about.
Indeed.
Nice to see all the blossom on the trees. Grumpy Tuck said, surely not. Great minds think alike. Grumpy Tuck. Jilly Jill said, Sarah cracks me up. MK Joe 94 said, watching you from a small town in North Wales. Oh, I wonder where that is. So we went to a small town in North Wales about 10 years ago now. It was called Trefru, and it was lovely. It was on the edge of the Snowdonia National Park, and it had a lovely little place called Fairy Falls. Very lovely part of the world. Michelle Simpson said, kids break up today. Some of the schools where we live broke up last week.
Last week, yeah.
It's really weird, you know, when we were at school, Easter holidays, you used to have about 2.5 weeks off, but a week before and a week after Easter. But where we live this year, the kids all break up 2 weeks before Easter and go back to school the day after Easter Monday.
Whoa! You absolute bellend. Could you not see that we're waiting? There is a lane here as well.
Oh, but it's got a baby on board sticker, Tone.
Yeah, he's driving.
Oh,
there's one lane here. It's only 2 lanes there. She. It was a she.
Yeah,
She's stuck there now. She looks like she can't drive.
she's probably terrified.
Well, bloody slow down then and look at the road. One lane. Why are you overtaking?
Let's see. Anyway, yeah. School holidays.
Drama!
Where are we? Storm Gray said, watch him from Canterbury, which may be M2 or M20. Ibsen is back on. Hi, Ibrahim. Well, this is a surprise. Greetings to you both. Ibrahim from Canterbury here. My very dear late mum and I have been to Deal many times. There's a big annual car show there in the summer.
And would you mind if I called you Hibbs?
Why Hibbs?
That's just, I like to call people shorter names.
Names. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Sasha Burton said, we're here in Norwich, Norfolk on the TV and me on my tablet. Ib said to Storm Gray, I'm also in Canterbury. I was in Canterbury last weekend, actually. I went on a lovely coach trip to Deal Market, which wasn't very big, and then Canterbury with a couple of my friends, and that's why we're going to Deal today, because I said to Tony, got to have a look around Deal, it's jolly nice. Paul King said, proper spring day with the blossom. Ib said, wow, that was close.
Certainly was.
M3D 1807 said, what the flip? Grumpy.
Did you say Hibbs?
Did I? I didn't, did I? Ibs, I said.
Hibbs. Oh.
Yeah. M3D 1807 said, what the flip? Grumpy Tuck said, that driver is thicker than a submarine door. And Jilly Jill said, oh my God, bloody idiots.
Sometimes it needs someone to have a near miss like that to actually drive properly, to realise how close they came to actually having an accident then. And sometimes it actually changes their mindset because they come so close to smash, and it would have been her fault. Well, it probably wouldn't have been her fault, to be honest. But yeah, and that sometimes that changes your mindset and you wouldn't do that again, hopefully. But people are weird. They should probably do the same thing tomorrow.
MK, oh, she might not. She might be really terrified. She might have had a baby in the back crying, got distracted, any of them
Didn't
things.
stop her with her acceleration though, did it?
No.
And overtaking.
Hold on a moment. MK Joe 94 said, you don't see this type of driving in North Wales. Debbie Tanner said, oh my gosh, what a bad driver, both of them. Michelle Simpson said, what a prat in the Yaris that was, nearly a bang. Paul King said that was crazy. And Owen Coates said, numpty's out in force today.
Indeed.
Willie Russell said, always an Audi. Ib said, that's fine.
Cool.
Mitchner said, of course not. MK Joe 94, driving in Wales is all slaloming round the sheep, isn't it? Simon Mitchner said, sheep. Oh, yeah. It's all right, I was just checking that. Ib said, or my nickname, which is Ibby. Ibby, yeah. Alan Howard said, can you remember the last live drive you mentioned Carshalton, and I asked you about a pop star from a group in the 1970s from there. Did you find out what it was?
Oh, that does ring a bell.
Supercars from the Isle of Man said, we broke up from school from the Isle of Man last Friday. And Alan Howard said, it wasn't Jeff Beck. A clue, we were in northeast England and the stuff Clarts everywhere else calls it.
That singer, yeah, we did say it, didn't we? Or someone come up with who it might have been.
I think so, but I can't remember.
It wasn't someone that I knew, to be honest.
Ibby said, yes, the Deal Saturday market. They close the high street from 10 till 4. The pier is also and a cafe at the end. View of Deal from the pier looks like the south of France. Paul King said, for sure, Tony, I certainly learnt from close calls. Susie Forrester said hi to Ibby.
Sorry, say that again.
That's right, Susie Forrester, hi to Ibby. Alan Howard said he was the lead singer of this good group. Roger E. Hedburn said, big up the London Dashcam duo from the Isle of Wight. I want to go to the Isle of Wight next.
Cost too much money.
I still want to go to the Isle of Wight next.
It's like one of the biggest rip-off ever to get across the Solent on the ferry. It's so expensive for that little journey.
It's the I think it's the dearest. With this came up on another live drive we did, but I think it's the dearest crossing waterway or something in the world. Is this Wickham? West Wickham?
It's sort of.
Yeah, it is. Fantastic charity shops along here.
Oh, looks like we're going to go shopping.
Not now, but I did come here a couple of years ago, and yeah, fantastic charity shops and loads of little independent shops, which is really nice to see. JJ Forfall said sometimes it changes their driving, they become Uber drivers. Sasha Burton said we use the term 4 rings of doom for Audi cars. Biker 1957 said drive a motorbike, you have lots of close calls a day. Yeah,
that's why I stopped riding a motorbike, to be honest.
Samily Rose said hi Ibrahim. Ian Brandt said amazing how your driving changes as you get older. Places I would overtake other cars as a teenager, I wouldn't dream of attempting now in a car 5 times more powerful.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she could have overtaken where she was. There's nothing wrong with her overtaking because it does go into 2 lanes, but it was the speed that she did it. It's like, you know, you can see that there's a gap. I've left a gap. You know, you must be able to see that. You know, you should be looking for that there was a gap there. What's going to come out of the gap? You know, a car or a bike or a person.
Ibby is just saying to Susie Forrester, doing well, though grieving loss of my dear mum after her stair fall last year. I was then diagnosed with leukemia 3 months later, but it's on its way out and I feel very fit and healthy, which is great news. Simon Mitchner said, Tony, the Solent crossing to the Isle of Wight is so expensive. To help pay for the time machine need to get you back to the 1960s that the Isle of Wight exists in. But that's why we want to go back there. Michelle Simpson said, I went to the Isle of Wight for my honeymoon 22 years ago. Lovely, Michelle. Whereabouts on the island was that? 22 years ago, we went to Sandown.
Was that
was
the restaurant, where the pub restaurant, where they used to give you like a loaf of bread with the meal?
No. That was in Shanklin. That was about 13 years ago, and that was the Steamer Inn.
Right, yeah, the Steamer Inn.
Yeah, that was. I'm talking about with your parents and the kids.
Right, yeah.
That was about 22 years ago. Sasha Burton said, if I had a live cam, would be so much bleeping, lots of smartphone zombies. Roger E. Hedburn said, the Isle of Wight is extortionate but worth it. Let you know if you change your mind and I'll make you both a cuppa. Take you up on that if we ever go over there, Roger.
Yeah.
Ibby said, oh, hello, Sammy Rose. Susie Forrester said to Ibby, great to hear that, friend, but very sorry about your mum. M3D 1807 said, no plate Kia. Don't know if we know it. Did you notice someone without a plate?
No.
Chris Morris said, yep, I'm off to the Isle of Wight for glamping with my family. £85, and that's with a discount from a glamping site. and I live opposite the Isle of Wight too. Love from Nana Chris. M3D 1807 said, careful. Alan Howard said, how long does it take to charge your car from a low battery?
Well, I don't normally let it go that low, but it's roughly about 10 hours that at home, that is. So you get home from work and you literally just plug it in, and then in the morning you get up and it's full charge. But out on the streets, it takes roughly about an hour and a half on a rapid charger. But they are quite expensive now, the old rapid chargers. It's it's a lot cheaper to charge at home. So if you can only manage to charge at home, it's a lot better. But it does take a lot longer because the output is a lot less, obviously, and they have to be professionally put in as well, because they have to be earthed properly and all that, because there is such a power surge going through them that it is quite dangerous to not have it put in properly.
I'm just interrupting you, Tone, just to let you know, Uncle Ron lived back there on the right. Yeah, just letting you know. Sorry, carry on.
But I don't let it go really low. I've only let it go down.
Any journey gets them looking for bikes when they start driving. That's a good idea. Sasha Burton said, I'm in full remission from stage 4 cancer right now. Wishing you every good wish and good luck, Sasha.
I'll second that.
Alan Howard said, the group you will know is Mud, Les Gray. He died a few years ago.
Right, yeah.